The Zone.
All right, so right out of the gates, hey, y'all, welcome in on, what is today? Is it Tuesday?
It's a terrific Tuesday.
Terrific Tuesday. All right, so full disclosure, welcome into the show as we start with you here, right off the top in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team here at Farm Bureau, your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. That's your hometown heroes. Now, full disclosure, I almost missed the open of the show because I just almost missed it. I didn't hear in my headphones that the open of the show had begun, and I almost missed it because I realized I had the drumline button on my soundboard over here, and I started listening to it and got completely distracted, taken away. You know what I'm talking about, the little montage of the band from A&T in drumline. And I'm listening, and in the background I hear something strange. I'm like, wait a minute. I just heard my name. Oh, my name. Yeah, the show's starting. So I couldn't help it. What a underrated movie. Underrated movie. All right, so welcome in. We'll just start it with a little drum line in the background. It is a terrific Tuesday, according to JB. Welcome into the show. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. Comment on the live stream. Say, hey. Drop me a text on the Country Pleasing text line. Call me. Yes, call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. 995-1059. That's a 601 number, 995-1059. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Drumline the movie? I give it a big old fat 2 thumbs up. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I almost missed it. It's one of those, JB, where I turned it up so loud in my own ears that I just about couldn't hear anything else.
Those are good times, pal.
Good times. All right, so on the live stream on Facebook, Joy gives it a big old thumbs up. Sven is in. He says it's 7 o'clock where he is over in Berlin, Germany, so good evening to you, sir. Saints fan says the Baylor women got robbed. They certainly did get robbed. And he says, I'm going with Vic versus South Carolina. So you think Vic Schaefer and Texas are going to upset South Carolina tonight? No, they're not. No.
I'll go with that. I'll take that bet.
So you're going to take Texas, huh?
Just simply because I don't like the coach at South Carolina.
You're not a big fan of...
Well, and I started feeling bad about that till I was on my way to Live Oaks this morning listening to our sister station, 106.3.
Yeah.
Mississippi Sports this morning with Doug Colson and Mark Alexander. If you hadn't tuned in, I'm headed to the course about 6:15, so I'm listening, and they're talking about Kim Mulkey getting all over the floor, and then Chuck is just getting unmercifully slammed by Mark about his homerism for Mr. Gino.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So, it was very fun to hear them talk about women's basketball for like 3 segments.
How about that? We just need a little drama in there, huh? Sven over in Germany says he's got Vic Schaefer winning it all from day one. Well, he's got him in the Elite Eight. Now, South Carolina and that bunch, they're going to win tonight. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's my opinion. I think South Carolina wins it. But, hey, there's intrigue, right? Rematch?
Ain't no doubt.
No doubt about it. And there's definitely some intrigue as well.
On the men's side?
Well, there's definitely that. I was just going to say there's intrigue here at Mississippi State. Right at the end of the show today, you let me know that the end of the show yesterday, you let me know that you had another transfer in there for State. And so that's 5 now, I guess, since the end of the year. And then you go back and you look at Chloe Bibby, transferred out early on. So it's a complete makeover for them and doing some talking and checking and, trying to figure out. It's just a bad situation. It really is, because it's one of those where you had a coach come in after a great coach, but one who, Vic Schaefer, man, it's like going to boot camp. You go play for him in every way possible. I mean, like, you're not only checking in on days you're there, you're checking in on off days and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, there was an effort to, well, immediately upon getting the job for Nicky McRae-Penson, there's an effort to kind of recruit your own players to get them to stay. And you go about that a certain way. And then it was hard to turn around and coach those players and whip it all back into shape. And you could definitely tell by looking at them, relationships broke down, because there were a lot of times you watch them where they didn't want to play for her and she didn't want to coach them. Yeah, I mean, you just about, it's the way it looked. Now, you hate to say it, but that's the way it looked. And so they've hit the reset button on that program. No doubt about it. It's a total reset. Now you got to go get players. And so I haven't looked at the schedule, but Dawn Staley in South Carolina versus Vic Schaefer in Texas. How about that? Be interesting to watch. There's definitely intrigue there for sure. Chad on YouTube said, Matt, please don't tell me you're entering the transfer portal. No. Didn't know I could, but I'm not.
Yeah, we're not going to let him leave the state.
Danny said, Hail State from Ringgold, Georgia. And appreciate you tuning in. Denzel on the Country Pleasing text line says, Matt, please, 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 more music from the movie Drumline. I was in the band in high school and college. I miss it so much. I'll keep that in mind. We might even get a little, who knows, we might even get a little Sonic Boom into the show if we're lucky a little bit later. No, all right, look, if you're just tuning in, I saw this because Jake Wimberly tweeted it just a little while ago, or tweeted a link to it. Let me ask y'all's opinion on something. How do you feel in football, about players faking an injury momentarily to stop the clock or to stop the game? You know what I'm talking about? You've seen it a bunch in recent years, right? There's always the allegedly faking an injury.
Yeah, and it's always so blatantly obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. Guy falls down. And my thing is, yeah, it's obvious once that player comes right back into the ball game. You know, in the moment, there's always the chance a guy's down on the ground that he may actually be hurt. Maybe he caught a cramp. If you've ever had a calf muscle or a hamstring cramp up on you during a ball game, you know what I'm going to say, and that is, well, there ain't no playing on it. You can forget it until you work that cramp out somehow. But then, you know, somebody comes right back in the game after stopping the clock. And, JB, you know, what's more obvious is when that happens during a certain situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, so, you know, the offense is moving the ball. Here they go. They're not doing a lot of subbing, and they're in a hurry-up offense, keeping the defense on the field, get them worn down. Ball gets close to or inside the red zone. All of a sudden, a guy falls down hurt. Okay. There is a little gray area. I know people don't want to hear that, but sometimes there is a little gray area in those situations in football. Here's what I mean. Like I said, guy catches a cramp or rolls ankle. He's kind of hurt, but he's wanting to stay in the game, kind of limping around. And you see on the sideline, the coach is going, get down on the ground. And sometimes it comes across on TV like, well, they are blatantly faking an injury. In fact, the coach is telling him to do it. Well, sometimes what the coach is saying is, don't stay out there limping around and you can't make it off the field in time. Get on the ground so that we can come tend to you, you know, instead of trying to run off. That's a true scenario. Sometimes it happens, but they are rare. Okay, so I've laid it out. As soon as I brought it up, Anthony said, thumbs down. In fact, Anthony gave me 3 thumbs down over here on Facebook. How do you feel about, in football, guys who have a mysterious leg cramp just in time to slow the offense down, get a time out of it? He comes out of the game for one play, and he's right back in. Well, it appears, according to an article in The Athletic, I wouldn't have known about had Jake Wimberly not retweeted it just a little while ago. I hadn't seen it. But according to this, leaders in college football are looking for ways to try to stop that. try to, maybe not put a complete end to it, because maybe that would be foolish to think you could, but at least curb that activity some. What do you think? Let me give you the details in this story of what they're saying they are considering doing. First, though, your reactions. NWR Mike says, I think if you go down with an injury, you should have to sit out at least a series. Whew. I don't know about that. Because then, how are you going to differentiate, Mike, between the guy who fakes an injury to stop him versus someone who actually does have a cramp or some sort of injury that he can go, or he has to go get his ankle retaped and then wants to get right back in the game? That's the hard part. There is a judgment call about it. You say, well, then just too bad. Well, okay. I think it's hard to, if you cross that line, it sure is hard to get back on the other side of it. Jackson Mailman said, falling down hurt is no different to me than intentionally fouling in basketball to force foul shots and extend the game. Yeah. Because if you think about it, it's a good point, Mailman. If you think about it in basketball, what do they have? They have a call that is called intentional foul. Don't they still have that? Even though they're regular.
Flagrant, intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. So intentional foul is like the more egregious foul.
Well, there's two of them. So you've got the more egregious is the one when you just doing bodily harm to them.
Is that a flagrant one or flagrant two?
Yeah, that's the flagrant one. And so when and I've never understood how it happens, but you always go up to the official and say, hey, first guy that gets the ball, I'm going to foul him. And the first thing they say these days, at least what I've heard, is, all right, but don't make it bad.
Yeah.
So just grab his jersey or something like that. But yeah, and so that's intentional.
It's intentional.
Because why? You went up and told the official, I'm going to foul him. It's
right.
intentional.
All right. I'm trying to get you to call it for
right.
purposes of having a chance to maybe still go win the game. Okay.
But the problem with that is you get automatically 2 shots, and sometimes they'll award you the ball afterwards.
Right.
And I think that's with the flagrant one.
So you got to make it look like it's within the play.
Yeah.
Well, and to Mailman's point, what's the difference? You're intentionally fouling, trying to flip the game on its edge. It's stopping their run. It's not letting them take a shot. Like somebody said the other night, UCLA versus Alabama at the end of regulation. There's 4 seconds on the clock. UCLA is up by 3. Alabama's inbounding the basketball, has to go the length of the court and get off a 3-point shot to tie the game and send it to overtime. So
they fouled them before they ever got the ball to half court.
They should have, and everybody knows that. And even after the game, Cronin, the coach at UCLA, says, my team bailed me out in overtime because, it'd be my fault if we lose because we didn't foul up by 3. He says, that's my philosophy. We're up by 3 and they get 1 possession. We are always going to foul and send them to the foul line. Well, they not only didn't foul, they gave up a wide open 3 from NBA range, which if you're not going to foul or didn't, at least you're positioning yourself defensively down there around the perimeter, right? That would make sense because the only thing they can get is a 3.
Well, and the thing I would make a counterpoint to Mailman is when you fall down on the field and fake an injury, it's not in the realm of play, right? Initially.
Yeah, right.
But what you're doing to stop the clock in the basketball game is you are doing what is legal within the realm of play.
Yeah. What would be would jumping off sides intentionally on defense be similar to that?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, but how would it? Because all it does is it moves the ball 5 yards, but it doesn't stop the clock, right? Like if it's a running clock and you jump off sides there, it's a live ball deal, so they're going to move it 5 yards, and as soon as they spot the ball, they're going to and run the clock.
Yeah.
So in football, you're trying to find a way without giving them yardage to stop the clock. That's what you're trying to do, because offensively you can stop the clock, you just can't defensively. If you've got the ball in the last 2 minutes of the half, all you got to do is get out of bounds or go incomplete, clock stops. But defensively you have no way to stop the clock. So it's apples, oranges, okay. But I agree with you, JB. It's a little different because in basketball we can do it within the play. And look, if you're fouling I don't want to say legally, I guess, but if you're non-egregious, fouling somebody, just hacking them, there's always a chance in those situations where you may actually not foul, knock the ball out, get a turnover, and they just happen not to call it or something. So in that way, also falling down is a little different. It is similar, though, in that it's doing something other than trying to make a play simply to manipulate the clock up there. That's what you're trying to do. Bama fan brings up soccer, and they are the world's worst.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. And so is LeBron James. I think they should call a T on him every time he flops.
Flopping?
I mean, it's the way he flops, the way those Connecticut girls flopped last night. I hate the flop so bad. And I tell you what, of all the plays that I have watched this year in the tournament, which I've watched a little of just about every game, the officiating is still incredibly when it comes to knowing the difference between a block and a charge. And even with that little halo in the lane, they still don't get it right.
Yeah, right. No,
they still don't get it right.
No, but the flopping thing is, okay, and that's built into the whole block charge deal. You're trying to get the charge call, the flopping, and a lot of times it does work, and sometimes it does depend on who you are as to whether or not it works or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point being that most people frown on it. Okay? Most people frown on it. Chad on the live stream says, I don't mind it until rules stop rewarding gimmicky offenses. It'd be nice to see the best beat the best rather than a team taking advantage of a team trying to line back up. It's not a race. The hurry-up offense is what he's talking about there, where because of the rules, you can't – we're going to hurry up and snap it and keep you from being able to sub in fresh players as long as we don't substitute, and that whole thing. Okay, let me give you the details here of why I brought this up. So in The Athletic, and again, this is actually the first I read this. What do y'all think about this? It's talking about the scenario, same thing we covered, and it says the sports leaders felt their hands were tied. Nobody wanted to question the validity of players who were hurt, basically. But they did send a message to the coaches, knock it off, or something's going to have to change if you keep faking injuries. Well, everybody admits it kept happening. So here we go. National Director of Officials Steve Shaw said that there was a decrease in estimated instances last fall, but not a dramatic difference after they warned coaches. So in February, last month, the American Football Coaches Association asked the Rules Committee to do something about it. Coaches couldn't police themselves, so they wanted to say, hey, you got to do something. Officials, what? So now there might be an answer. Listen to this. Earlier this month, the Rules Committee proposed a framework to allow a school or a conference to request a post-game video review that would go through the National Coordinator of Officials in his office. That'd be Steve Shaw, the former Coordinator of Officials of the SEC. Post-game video review. If it was determined that a team faked an injury, there could be a penalty such as a coaching fine or a suspension. And the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel is going to discuss this rules recommendation in late April. How about that? So to get down to it, they're going to discuss this in April, but one thing they are proposing is video review. Requesting it. Coaches and conferences can potentially, according to this, if it were to go through, request a video review. National Coordinator of Officials Steve Shaw and his group would do it. And if they found that you faked an injury to manipulate the game, they could either issue a fine of the coach or suspend the coach for that happening. And they're thinking, okay, whoever proposed this is thinking this would be a way to get coaches to get it under control. Maybe to not even do it, right? Let's see, what did it say here? The idea of faking injuries picked up steam and gained attention during the 2010 season when several players went down with questionable injuries against Oregon. Remember? Hurry up offense, Oregon. The Cal game was the most egregious. Then head coach Jeff Tedford denied it, but the school later suspended defensive line coach Tosh Lupoy for directing players to do so when having substitution problems. So what happens, everybody does it, you know it, I know it. Now what are you going to officially do about it? Potentially, they are proposing have a post-game video review to see if you faked an injury. And if you did, they may come back and suspend your coach. Nobody really cares, right? Like if they find the coach, like, especially at this level, we're like, they all have so much money. So what? Fine them all you want to. But suspend him? I mean, some poor coach Mike Leach just over here coaching, and some poor guy fakes an injury the week before the Egg Bowl. What are they going to do? Suspend Mike Leach for the Egg Bowl? Because one of his players faked an injury and the video review held that up after the game was over? I don't know. That's pretty interesting to me. I'll be honest, if it were to be voted in, I think it would stop a lot of the fake injury stuff. A lot of it.
Hey man.
Yeah.
I think I pulled a hammy. I'm going to be out for a couple minutes.
All right. I'll see you in 4 minutes. Back for the next segment. That's the way that works. All right. Just getting started with you. Interesting feedback on the text line. I'll come to that next. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy, better buy, better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you.
Nice hair!
It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and worldwide online at The Zone, 1059.com.
All right, back with you. Live here today on this Tuesday in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Welcome to the Bureau. I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. Feel free to comment on the live stream if you're tuning in that way. Text me, call me. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line. It's 885-ESPN. Here's the number again, 601-885-ESPN. If you need the number itself, it's 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. So Jared said, it's like flopping in basketball. Talking about faking an injury on the football field. It's like flopping in basketball. Come on, man. Man up and throw away your participation trophies, you loser. He's been listening. Thanks, Jared. Jared was listening.
Don't need to know which side of the fence he's standing on, do you?
No, we don't. Bass Dog said, in basketball, you can intentional foul to stop the clock, which is fine. That's just the game. But if you do it to stop a fast break and you are the last defender between the ball and the basket and it's the intentional foul, that awards the ball back. Said something similar could be explored for football. Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying, Bass Dog. What they are looking at here is, instead of officials making the determination during the game that you faked an injury, they are proposing doing a review afterwards, and the penalties would be, enforced afterwards. So that's what's interesting to me. Johnny Reb on the Country Pleasing text line said some of those penalties in football have a 10-second runoff to avoid the basketball situation. Yeah, that is true. You get late enough where you could actually end the game because of a 10-second runoff. Ready Teddy says the NBA is supposed to call a technical for flopping if caught in a game and a fine if caught in video after the game. Yeah, how's that working out, Teddy? They're not doing it too much, are they? Mailman said that they ought to change the rules in football to prevent faking injury and also change the rules in basketball to stop fouling, to stop the clock.
I would agree with him on the basketball side of it, but I would have to put some kind of point differential in there.
Yeah.
Like once you get, if you're up 30 points or 20 points with 2 minutes to go and you're fouling every time you, just so you can get another shot at going down, and no.
Well, and the other thing is, what are they going to do in a situation like UCLA and Alabama in regulation the other night, right? It's a 3-point game. Okay, so are we saying that we're going to tell the defense, all right, you have to at least give them the opportunity to shoot a three? Okay, because then the foul stuff becomes a judgment call. Right? Because if you
I don't know. I don't know, man. If you inbound the ball and you've got to – see, I just think the way UCLA set it up was atrocious because they let them inbound the ball without much pressure at all. And then they put a very little pressure on the guy bringing it up. And so when he kicked it over to Reese, I mean, he launched it and and there was a guy maybe 2 steps from him.
Well,
but
and he was 5 feet behind the 3-point line. My point, though, JB, is this. All right, it's a 3-point game with 4 seconds left.
Right.
Are we saying that, like Mailman said they ought to do something in basketball, is he saying that let's say if the opposite had happened, let's say that UCLA up 3, 4 seconds left, did intentionally foul Alabama to force them to, number one, use some of that 4 seconds, and number two, go to the free throw line where the maximum you do if you make both shots is 2. You can't tie the game. So we're going to foul you to keep you from being able to shoot a 3.
But if the foul occurs in the natural course in the play of the game, and it's not flagrant or intentional, it's just a foul.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Which is what I thought UCLA was going to do.
So let's say they did it. Well, there's no way you can ask the officials to judgment call that and say, well, that's one of those you can't do, so now we're putting them on the free throw line for 3 shots. Give them a chance to tie. I mean, which is kind of what it meant.
If like I said, think of it, let's say you got a guy on the guy throwing the ball in, he gets it in, but the guy that when he gets the ball, the offensive player receives the pass from the inbounds. The defensive guy on him fouls him, slapping at the ball, but just hits his hand like a normal foul. That's what I'm looking for my players to do. I'm not looking for them to commit a flagrant and possible give them 2 free throws and the ball back with no time expired.
Right, and which I would say is exactly right. It's what a coach probably is coaching them to do. Therefore, you can't come out here and put some rule in that says if you're up by 3, you can't foul them.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that. Because a lot of times, naturally, fouls occur sometimes, even when you're not trying to do this. So it's it's sketchy to come in here and start. I guess what I'm saying is start legislating the intent behind all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it also puts more on the official when I think, if anything, we should be taking less off of them, right?
Yeah, right.
Taking more off of them instead of adding more to them.
Okay, the football proposal here is they're proposing not asking the game officials in live action to decide if the injury was fake or not. Okay? They're not asking the white hat in the Iron Bowl on the fly in front of 80,000 people to go, that's a fake injury, penalty. We're not. They're saying football going to come back and review it via video afterwards and just suspend the coach if he did that.
What happens if the team that faked the injury won the game?
Then exactly,
and they won it in response to said fake injury.
Well, exactly, because
do you take that game away from them?
No, absolutely not. They're just going to penalize the coach, fine him or suspend him. And if this goes through, inevitably there will be a situation where a coach says, "I don't care, fine me. I'm glad we did it. Won the ball game," and that's not coming off the books.
I tell you what, the more and more we talk about it, the more and more listen. I am drawn to leave well enough alone. Yeah. Just let them fake the injury. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
We're trying to throw way too much in here.
I agree. That's what I said, JB. Yeah. It's the sketchiness of we're going to try to legislate everything.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes there are just loopholes, and you have to live with it. Let's see what Chris says, if he's still with us over here on the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. What's up, Chris?
Oh, nothing much, just trucking. I kind of agree with y'all on the fact that what are you really going to do about it? It's almost like the targeting rule. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can't say for sure that guy meant to do that or not. So, I mean, that's why I don't like the targeting rule.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is that I didn't want to call yesterday, and honestly, I didn't even listen yesterday because I didn't want my phone to melt from all that state fans just overreacting.
Chris, only one time, by the way, did somebody bring up your prediction. Only once.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen. And that's not why I didn't listen. I just didn't listen because I didn't want to hear all the moaning and groaning. I mean, it's baseball. It happened.
Well, to the credit of the listeners on this show, there was not a lot of moaning and groaning yesterday, to the credit of mostly what I heard is, yeah, look, we've seen this before, and it'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I would point to 2018 if any state fan forgets about, oh, well, we just got swept and we're not going to go to Omaha. I'd point to 2018 and look how awful we were for, 2 months, and put it on at the end of the.
Was that the year they fired Cannizzaro towards the beginning of the year?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And that's the year that Henderson took us to the World Series, and we like to won the dadgum thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. The thing about what I wanted to say is I am extremely, extremely proud of the basketball team for what they did this weekend. And I want to say that I was wrong, and I think that Howland needs another year. I've been calling for his job all year, and that was a totally different team than we've seen all year, Matt. Those kids, they may not have looked to the point of Mickey McCray Penson's squad, but those kids looked like they weren't trying half the time all year. And then to come out and play with Memphis the way they did in the first half, and then the second half just kind of looked lackadaisical, and I don't know how much of that was actually Memphis was that good or State just kind of give up right there after the first minute or two of the second half, and they were down by 11 again.
Yeah. Chris, I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of disagree in a couple of ways. Let me just kind of express. Number one, I did watch some of the NIT stuff. I watched, obviously, their game against St. Louis, pretty much every dribble. I did see the game against La Tech, and then saw most of the first half against Memphis. Honestly, what I saw is a lot of basketball just overall that didn't look like the best basketball being played. And to me, it looked like teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament. Now, that may be me being hoity-toity, but it wasn't. There were a lot of turnovers. There was a lot of sloppy basketball. Because you turn on an NCAA tournament game, frankly, it looks like it's on a different level than any of those NIT games. That's just me. Hey, hang on. If you've got a response to that, Chris, I know you hung on a while, but if you can hang on for me. The music just started, and it's going to cut you off, and I want to get your response to it if you don't mind.
I will.
All right.
I will.
Yeah, thank you for that. Stick around, and we'll come back and see what Chris thinks about my thoughts on the basketball deal. On the Davini Equipment phone line. That's coming up. Y'all stay with me.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jello instant pudding.
Mississippi State radio analyst. And he's on your radio
right now.
You got the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
All right, so to get back into it, we were talking with Chris on the phone. He hung on, and Chris was bragging on, what State was able to do in the NIT, and a couple of points on how they look different. I had a different take on it. I watched NIT games because State was in it, and still, to me, it looked like there was a lot of sloppiness at times. I mean, DJ Stewart had a great game against La Tech, but outside of that, still a lot of turnover. In all the NIT games I watched, including watching Memphis on, I guess it was Sunday morning, honestly, Chris, I didn't think Memphis even looked like a team that could beat Oral Roberts. The teams in the NCAA tournament look so much better to me. Tell me why I'm wrong, Chris.
Well, I don't say that you're wrong, but I will say this. I remember a week or two ago, you were saying that State needed to speed it up and try to get out there and do that. And I couldn't call you that day because I was busy doing something, but I was screaming at my radio going, no, they can't do that. They can't do that. Because I've watched almost every game this year. And the reason why I've watched almost every game of the basketball team, especially the boys, is because they've had no quit all year. But every time they tried to play at a really fast pace, they threw the ball away. So that's why you've seen them slow the ball down a lot. And that's kind of like the girls. Okay, I used to watch all of the girls play. I know Vic's not coming back and all this, that, and the other, but it was just so hard to watch them this year because you felt like that it was effort. It wasn't anything else but effort. And I got out of the boys just kind of like I got out of the football team. You felt like they were sloppy, but they were playing hard all the time. They may have been getting beat like crazy, but they were playing hard all the time. I couldn't watch the girls because guess what? They didn't look like they were even playing. So that's what I wanted to say about the boys, is if they would have went to the NIT and acted like they weren't even playing or even trying the whole time, then I would say fire Ben Howland. But those guys were trying to run through a wall for Ben Howland Sunday. Yeah. They did everything they could. Memphis come up with a great game plan to shut down our 2 best players. And, hey, guess what, State fans? It showed you that you have other players that are freshmen that can play, because that's the best game Cam Matthews has played all year, and the Smith boy. So I think next year, after a year of them growing, practicing together, I think we're going to have a good team. And I think they'll make the right move, not getting rid of Howland. I still think Nick McRae-Penson needs to go. I mean, because that was, like you said about Kentucky basketball, that was awful. And we should never say anything else about another team's coach being awful if we allow that to work and go through.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened.
Yeah.
And it, you know, and the proof's in the pudding that all the kids are leaving. I mean, we're going to lose everything we got. They're going to have to rebuild, and we're looking at back what we looked like before Vic Schaefer left next year. I have all confidence that we're gonna get beat by everybody in the SEC next year. So
yeah,
on the baseball team, hey, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, State's going to be a really, really good team, and I really believe before the year's over with, we're going to be close to the top of the SEC. We're going to be an 8 national seed, like I said we were. Hey, I was wrong. We got swept. Let's put it back together. Let's go back out there. And Matt, you may not believe me, but look at Sunday. Houston Harden needs to be starting on Sunday. That kid's a gamer. That kid is a gamer. And that's all I got to say about it. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Yeah, I was the same way. You know, I had no trouble watching and getting behind the men's team for State this year. I have had my complaints. You know, it was hard to watch them play Alabama. Alabama played so much faster, but it wasn't just on the offensive end, though, Chris. That's the other thing, too. You know, you saw teams like Memphis and Alabama, some of the better teams they played, Tennessee in recent years, who those good teams they have a different intensity and speed and aggressiveness that they play with on defense than most of these State teams, you know. So they got a long way to go, but yeah, getting some people back. You know, they've got to handle the ball better or get a ball handler. All those turnovers. And that's why when they ran up against teams who would really get after them and defend the way Memphis did, your best players get shut down. I mean, they're just non-existent because they can't get free to get shots, and you can't get them the ball to get shots. You know, so, but yes, I couldn't even watch the women's team. About halfway point of the year, you turn it on, you watch like 5 minutes, you're like, oh my gosh. Considering what it looked like, it's amazing they were in as many games as they were in. I mean, the way they were in some of them, it was just, and to me, you know, I hold a lot of that at the feet of players because you got to have a little more pride than that, don't you? I mean, you get to that level, I don't care who you are and what kind of internal issues you're having. I mean, there's a little pride in there. I mean, you have people just standing around, walking around, giving no effort whatsoever on that basketball team. So, you know, it's obvious there was a breakdown of relationships in the locker room on the State women's team, and so they might as well just part ways. Might as well. That's what I think on it. All right, back over to the country pleasing text line, 885 ESPN. Hey, speaking of country pleasing, I'm wearing a country pleasing hat that on the inside, the part that goes on my head, it has the words. It's stretchy, so it's a green country pleasing hat with the country pleasing red pig on the front, country pleasing sausage and country meat packers, and it says Elite Comfy Fit. And so you put it on, you wear it. Well, JB, when I take the hat off, it leaves the word Elite stamped on my forehead. You can just see it right across the front there. It says Elite. I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
Some things are just natural.
I don't know if it's appropriate or not. Lynn, hanging on the Davini phone. Lynn, thanks for calling. What's up?
Well, you got me laughing, Elite. That was good.
Elite.
Hey, I was gonna bring something up about the baseball games from this past weekend, although they're rough to remember. But I seen something that I thought. Did you watch the Saturday game, Matt?
You're talking about baseball, right?
Yeah.
So
State and Arkansas.
I did not get to see a whole ton of baseball this past weekend. I saw a little bit of the Saturday game, not the whole thing.
Okay, well, have you seen the top half of the first inning? You see what I'm talking about, where Bednar hit the Floyd kid, I think it was.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought this when I seen it happen. It looked like he hit that kid on purpose.
Oh, really?
It really did. It really did to me. And I heard it on a podcast that he didn't know. I don't want to say the podcast, but everybody will figure it out. But he didn't think it was. He didn't know if it was deliberate or not, and that made me think. Yeah, I kind of thought that too. It looked like it was intentional. But if you'll remember, the day before, Skinner got hit, and it knocked him out of the game and out for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a little retaliation, and I kind of like it.
Okay,
But
so was it Friday? Was it
the
the Friday game that Skinner got hit on the leg, or that was the Saturday game?
I thought that was the Friday game, wasn't it? I could be wrong.
I don't think so. I think it was the Saturday game when he actually got hit. Yeah,
it may be now, Matt. But
I think it was their Saturday starter.
you could be right.
Yeah, I think it was the Saturday starter for Arkansas who hit him. I'd have to go back and
It
look
may
that
be.
up. Okay, then
But
I guess
I don't
missed
remember.
it.
I just remember when I seen that one guy got hit, I was like, man, because I did a little pitching in Little League, stuff like that in high school. I thought, looked like he hit that guy on purpose.
Well, maybe they
Which
did.
is not a problem with me. I think a pitcher should do that sometimes. If something happens, okay, well, let's let you wear one and we'll move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But
look, it's part of it. Sometimes it's as much a part of baseball as home runs and stolen bases,
and flopping in basketball. And that's what made me bring it up.
That's exactly right. I mean, it happens, but I guess I missed that.
But I mean, I could be way off. It may not have been intentional, and I'm not sure what it was about. But I remember sitting there watching on TV, and I thought to myself, I said, man, where that hit him and how it looked, it's just like, yeah, that may have been intentional.
I'm gonna go
And
back
that, like you said, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll have to go back. Hey,
but
and since you bring it up, Lynn, State was going to play Mississippi Valley State this afternoon or this evening, but they've canceled that or postponed it, something because of this weather that's coming in here. And then Ole Miss was going to play UNA today in Oxford. Same thing for them. They've, either canceled or postponed it, one or the other. Not going to play today because of this weather that's moving in here. But I do know that Texas is playing at Texas A&M tonight in baseball. How about that?
It sounds like a good one. The UNA thing makes me think of something. I don't know if playing a team like that for State or even Ole Miss, it may be a blessing for Ole Miss. That could hurt you more than it helps you.
I absolutely 100% agree. And when you schedule it a year or 2 years out, sometimes you might not really know. But I totally agree with you. They are, bless their hearts.
There are high school teams that can beat that baseball
There
team.
ain't no question about it, Lynn, that there are high school teams in the Jackson Metro and in the DeSoto County area right now that would walk out there and beat UNA. No question about it. Hey,
I thought then, I was like, this is a bad game for us. Yeah, I know you got to go, man. We'll holler at you.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you calling. Yeah, they're renewing this rivalry on the baseball diamond anyway. Texas, 5th-ranked Texas is at Texas A&M, and it's going to be on ESPNU tonight, 6 p.m. first pitch if you want to watch a little baseball. Just giving you a heads up. That'll wrap
Go
up
Michigan.
Yes. Watch a little basketball. Go Wolverines. All right, that'll wrap up hour 1. Hour 2 coming your way next. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to...
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country-pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite. the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
daily small steps to deal with our problems leads us towards our ultimate goals. Remember, yard by yard, life is hard. Inch by inch, life's a cinch. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
WRKS Pickett's Jackson.
Time.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Here we go. Back with you. Here we go. Hour number 2 starting now in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. Farm Bureau Insurance local agents in all 82 counties around the state. I'm Matt. I'm going to get to your text, and I've got some here that we didn't have time to read your text on the air in the first hour. I'm going to get to some of those coming up from Brent and Dirtbag, Free American, Mansplain, Fred, Jason, Ernest, Gator Nation, White Denzel, others coming to y'all in just a bit. Brom on Facebook was asking me if I had any update on Riley Self. No, I haven't heard anything, Brom. Nothing as of yet. So I don't know if that's good or bad, to be honest with you, being the fact that it's a Tuesday. And as we were talking about it, Mississippi State women's basketball and their struggles this year and more players transferring and just it's a total reset of that program at this point. Roshana commented on Facebook and said, my 2 cents about the ladies. You can't coach some of the stuff that went on. No heart, no effort. You can't coach players that don't want to be coached. Recruit players that want to play for you, and we shall see what year 2 brings. There was no doubt that there was a little bit of a prima donna type of issue going on. And, and it showed. It showed. And, once you have a breakdown of those relationships, it's best to just sever it, and that's why they did not play in the NIT. You might as well just go ahead and cut it off, like we said, move on, start to rebuild, because that's what it is, total rebuild. That's the situation now, total rebuild. That's what it looks like to me, and I'm probably not the only one, the way it looked at different times this year. In just a sec, a few more details on something that came up yesterday on what I believe is going to be within the next 5 years, a schedule rotation and football scheduling model change in the SEC. I hinted at that yesterday. And we don't have the details yet. We'll get them whenever, on how they're going to do that. Is it how many constant opponents are going to be in football schedules, how they'll do the rotation, will there play another SEC game and drop one of the non-conferences off the schedule? Those kinds of details will come up. But there were a few other thoughts that I think I can kind of complete that idea for you in just a bit. So we'll get to that also. First, though, let me go over here to the Country Pleasing text line. Now, if you want to text the show, I invite you to do it. It's 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN. If you need the number itself, maybe you remember numbers better than letters. It's 885-3776. Bo texted the show. That's B-E-A-U. He says, I don't think it would matter much if you're a fine coach. Oh, if you fine a coach. Okay, so this is back to the football thing. Proposed, you have a player fakes an injury. They would review it after the game if the other team or conference requested it. If they found you faked an injury during the ball game, the proposal is that you'd either fine the coach or suspend the coach. Bo says, I don't think it would matter much if you fine a coach. They could care less. If you suspend the player, similar like you do targeting, that would work much better. Now the player and the coach would think twice before doing it. Yeah. But the whole injury thing is, whew, I don't know about that. Because then really, what's the baseline on it? What's the dividing line on it? Whether it is fake or it isn't. How do you determine that? How do you prove that? What if a guy says, I was feeling dizzy from a tackle earlier in the game? Oh, yeah? Well, now what are they going to prove?
Wrong answer.
Really? But seriously, though, how are you going to suspend a player from a review after a game saying you faked an injury if he falls out and he says, I thought I had a concussion. I was dizzy. Well, then did you have a concussion or not? I don't know. Maybe he did, but he passed concussion protocol, so he's back in. I mean, like, seriously, it's such a – it's not like judging the act of targeting or not, as ambiguous as that is. All right, unnamed – no, this is Bama fan in Mississippi. He said, if they want fast break football, give the teams 5 timeouts like basketball. Lord, no, that's the last thing we need. We got enough ball games taking too long as it is. The last thing we need is more timeouts.
Yeah, I think this point's moot. You made it for early on. Stop it. It doesn't make any sense. There's no way to police it, no way to keep it from happening.
Right. Well, and I'm just reading text I didn't get to.
Right.
Because there was so much reaction to it.
Oh, I know.
And I wasn't able to get to all of it. Brent said, any legal physiological card that you have in the deck, play it. Oh, he meant psychological. Sorry.
I think he's probably right on both accounts.
Right. Any legal psychological card you have in the deck, play it. Dirtbag said, regarding suspending the coach for a player faking an injury, the rule wouldn't fly on my watch. Dirtbag said, what happens when a player, coaching staff get crossed up, which happens all the time. Player headed out the door, blatantly fakes an injury to have the coaching staff penalized. Yeah, that's a far-fetched scenario there, especially in terms of the ball game. But, hey, I guess anything could happen. Mansplain.
Well, you're punishing a player. I mean, you're punishing the coach for the player's actions, but what if the coach asks the player to do it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, and then what if that comes out after the fact 2 years later? Oh, yeah, right. Remember that thing? Yeah, he asked me to do it. Oh, big controversy. Mansplain says, who determines if the football player is faking? And I agree with this. Mansplain, cramps can come and go in seconds. And there ain't no doubt about it. If you've ever had them, you know what I'm talking about. I had I've been through it a bunch. It's been a long time ago, but I've been through it a bunch, playing ball. I had one time we had played a game, and we were on the bus riding back to Prattville, and I'm just sitting on the bus, and like the arch of my foot started cramping up. And it hurt, and I'm trying to get somebody to pull that cramp out of my foot, stretch your foot out, and then all of a sudden it just stops. But had I been on the field, I'd have been sitting down holding my foot thinking, man, what is going on? And then it just goes away sometimes. So, yeah. All right, on to the basketball subject real quick, too. Jason said, of course, State's basketball team looked, quote, better in the NIT. They were playing teams that were hot garbage. None of the teams in there had SEC talent, or they would have been in the big tournament. And listen, Memphis had a lot of talent. They did. And they're pretty good. They were 1 seed in that deal. And it's not like we're saying they're bad teams. I agree with you, Jason. That's the thing about it, too. Watch any of these NCAA tournament games, especially once you got to 32 and then to 16 and now to 8. You watch these teams play, you go, oh, my gosh, they're playing on a much different level right now, especially given what's at stake than what we saw from teams like Mississippi State throughout the year. And you just have to be honest about it. Howland knows it. He's coached those teams. He knows what he's looking for. He's trying to get it through the heads of the players. And that's why I say they are going to have a good team, probably a better team coming back next year. But they're still missing some pieces. They're missing the ball handling. And I think they need to take a real hard look and figure out what it takes. I think they're missing the physical effort component on defense consistently. There's a whole nother level of that they can reach if players just buy into it. I think we maybe have is he bragging? Gator Nation has texted us, and he says he is bragging, isn't he?
He is.
He says, Lakers champs, Bucks champs. He says, I told you the Baylor men will win. Don't worry about Gonzaga. Baylor women, stop crying. You can't let one call decide a game, Matt. You better watch out for the Gators baseball, softball. Let me say we have top 5 in both or top 10. We're coming, baby. He says we might win both. You may do it, TB12 GOAT. You may do it. You former Patriots fan. You may win it all.
Baylor is the only team that has the capability, I think, of the teams left in the men's side that can beat Gonzaga.
Beat Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And see, so Baylor's going to play Houston, right?
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
That's going to be a good game now. Kelvin Sampson, great coach, Oklahoma, Indiana.
Gonzaga plays tonight?
Yeah, they play, I think it's...
Is it USC? No?
Yeah. No. It's USC.
USC, that's it. And Michigan plays
UCLA.
There you go.
And that's a couple of blue bloods from the old days.
That's two good matchups tonight. I hope they're good games.
Yeah.
That's two good matchups.
Well, my bracket's still halfway decent intact since you asked, and I appreciate the courtesy. I've got 2 of the Final Four teams in.
Attaboy.
And if Gonzaga gets in, I'll have 3, except for Illinois. I kicked in.
The Illini. Well, you can't be perfect all the time. You can't think about everything. Yeah. It's like I used to play golf with my Sunday school teacher, older guy named Stanley Williams. And Stanley, we'd play golf, and he'd hit a shot, and it'd be tracking a flag, and it would fly the green off the back or something. And it's like, man, you were right on it. You just you had too much club. He'd go, well, I can't think of everything. That'd be his response. Oh, that's a great response. Can't think of
Mine
everything.
is, well, at least I hit it in the screws.
Yeah, at least I made good contact. Gator Nation, your Gators baseball team coming off a sweep at the hands of South Carolina, and now you host Ole Miss this weekend. That could be a really good series. I would say, though, pucker up, because I think Ole Miss got a much better baseball team than you do right now. That softball deal, though, you for real. And by the way, did y'all see? Have you ever gotten a look on TV or anything at Florida's softball field and facility?
Mm-hmm.
Good night. There's some money poured into that thing.
Ain't no doubt.
It looked great.
That's all Title IX, right?
Well, a lot of it is, but I think they have a big following for it there too. It's like Alabama, and I know some places like LSU, but I know Alabama. Alabama's got a great, really nice softball facility, and they have huge fan base for that.
Yeah.
It's a very, very popular sport. White Denzel texted us. He said, I don't know what Chris is watching, but Houston Harding should not be starting Sundays over Fristoe. Harding is a very solid middle relief guy. That's according to Denzel. I think Fristoe is a future Friday night type of talent for you as a freshman. I think his upside is through the roof. Charlie texted and said, speaking of diving, have you ever watched men's soccer? Yeah, the highlights on YouTube of guys flopping in soccer and stuff. They're like, this is the best way that I can describe to you the level at which they fake injuries in soccer is this. It's worse than the NBA. That's the best way I can describe it. I mean, in the NBA, a guy get poked in the eye and he'll roll around on the floor until they stop the game and bring out a stretcher. Okay? Soccer is worse. Bama fans said they should just call a penalty and make the player sit the rest of the game. What, for faking an injury? But again, how are they going to, Bama fan, that's easy to say, but how are they going to determine that stuff? That's the point. Anybody who's ever played football can tell you, man, sometimes sometimes a debilitating cramp will pop up and you need help off the field and they fix it. You eat a banana and drink some pickle juice and stretch your cramp out and you're back on the field and run 5 more plays, 5 minutes later. Those kinds of things happen. They do. There's no earthly way possible for officials or anybody during a ball game to determine if the injury is fake. Ain't no way. Not possible. You like my choice of grammar there? Ain't no way. It ain't no way. All right. Let me flip the page here for you. Turn the page, both literally and physically. Like turn the page, like there. We just turned the page. And now I am on football. Remember the good old SEC on CBS? Remember that? Da-da-da-da. You better get all you can of that intro music there, the SEC on CBS, because you're not going to hear it much longer. All right, that's why I'm bringing this up. The conversation yesterday, I told you, I'd mentioned it, I'd heard this. we are somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4, 5 years away. We're going to have a new football scheduling model and rotation that's going to go into play here in the SEC. And thank goodness we need it. Lots of examples why. JB, listen to this. Listen to this, JB. Just listen to how this sounds.
All right.
I did a couple of interviews on this subject this morning, and I illustrated how outdated and time to move on from the old scheduling model we are, and how the rotation stuff wasn't fair to the rest of the league. Here's one way to describe it. If a Mississippi State kid was born in November of 2013, that kid would be in the 6th grade when he got to watch Mississippi State play for the first time in his lifetime in Columbia, South Carolina. He'd be in the 6th grade if he was born in November of 2013. Now, that's one way to illustrate it. The other way to illustrate it is this, how silly what we have currently, the rotation model we have, is this. And I've told this before. I was on an SEC team for 5 years. Redshirted and played for 5 years. I was on the team for 5 years. Now, I've been on the SEC radio broadcast team for 10 years. Last year was my 10th year. That's 15 years combined. And I've still never been to Gainesville, Florida. How's that even possible? I said that on one of the interviews this morning, and they just laughed. They're like, how is that even? Okay, so just to put it in perspective. Well, so it's outdated, it's out. Well, this thing's going to go into play. It's not a matter of if they are going to have a new scheduling model that you have a more frequent rotation to all the campuses and all the teams. It's just a matter of when do they put it into play. But here's what I would like for you to know as a listener of this show. It has everything to do with the TV deal with CBS going to ESPN and ABC. CBS is out. ESPN and ABC are in. They have taken over. They will have the game of the week. That begins, it's my understanding, the CBS deal with the SEC ends in 2023. The ABC ESPN deal starts in 2024. Now, there's a chance they could ramp it up, do it quicker if there was a big buyout process, but I don't think that's happening. They haven't said it is. The money. CBS was paying the SEC for this package. It goes all the way back to 1996. It was $55 million a year for that SEC game of the week on CBS. The new deal with ESPN ABC, you know how much it is? Over $300 million a year. It's going to equal $20 million a year more per school. You think Mississippi State could use an extra $20 million a year? You think Ole Miss could use an extra $20 million a year? No doubt about it. No doubt. One thing that's going to do, because it's all with ESPN ABC, and this was a big sticking point for people in the league, it's going to allow the schools in the league to, before the season even begins, they're going to even be able to go ahead and tell you half of their games, what the kickoff times are for the year. Instead of every week, you're waiting a week out, 10 days out, 2 weeks out to try the last minute to get in that window and find out when are we kicking off this week? What's the kickoff time? Who's going to be on CBS? Who's going to be in prime time? Up to half of the games will already be scheduled in certain windows throughout weekends, throughout the whole year. You'll know it up front. That's a big deal for them. Gives them the flexibility to go from one time slot to the other if they need to. So that's a big deal. But the other thing is this. Like I said, if you are ABC or ESPN and you're paying all that money above and beyond what they were making, aren't you going to say, hey, SEC, we kind of would like to have some better games also. We kind of would like to have more SEC games. So I don't know this for a fact, but I really do think because of that, you could be looking at a scenario where the SEC goes to 9 conference games instead of the old 8. But even if they were to stay at 8, I think some combination, smart people have to figure it out. each team will have fewer constant opponents on their schedule year after year after year. Instead of like right now, what do you have? You have 6 teams that you play every year. That's all the teams in your division. You have one from the other division. You play it every year. So now you're up to 7 teams that you play every year, and only one slot that rotates on and off. I think now, the new one, somehow, some way, whether it's 8 or 9 conference games, you're going to have fewer teams that you're looking at are stuck to your schedule every year. That may mean there are teams in your own quote-unquote division that you don't play every single year. It rotates on and then off and then on and then off. But at least everybody's rotating on and off of each other's schedule for a while. So just understand, though, I think the TV angle just makes total sense. It has to be a big part of that. Has to be, especially given the time frame. I read a thing that said that Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, actually began working on this new TV deal that just came out. He began working on it December of 2016. Just a little over a year after he took over as commissioner. Well, if you look at it, he started working on it December 2016. They announced it when? December 2020. Took him 4 years to get it done. Well, it's 2021. They got about 3 or 4 years to figure out the new scheduling model before the new TV thing kicks in. The time frame works out also. So just know that it is TV related, some of it. But it's another example, I think, of the league. They're going to make a decision to make it better for you as a fan. That's the good news. All right. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Go. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jello instant pudding.
All right, back with you. Opening day, Major League Baseball, right around the corner. What are we, 48 hours away? Thereabouts. 48 hours away, something like that, a couple of days. From opening day, Major League Baseball 2021. What are the... I guess I saw recently and I think I had it here for you on the show, was a list of which Major League stadiums they're going to allow fans. Most of them are. I think the only one that at that time had said still had a definite no about having fans there was the Nationals in Washington. Everybody else said yes.
Dr. Fauci is going to be there making sure everybody has their mask on and vaccine card. So they can't do it, so they're not going to let anybody in.
Didn't he throw out the first pitch Didn't he throw out the first pitch at a Nationals game last year, I think?
Yeah, and didn't even make it to the plate. Not only that, he didn't even throw it straight.
Well,
I mean, my 8-month-old could probably throw it better.
You're not a big fan of Fauci, are you?
No. Well, I'm kind of a rebel at heart. I know it's hard for you to imagine. But,
mm-hmm. Hey,
you
how
can
about
only
this?
take people telling you what to do for so long, especially when you're not really sure if they're doing it in your best interest.
Sure. What was it? The guy called in earlier this week. He said, those masks are like putting up a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or
Jason
not.
Flagstaff's response was pretty priceless.
It was. That's what I was going to say. Whether it's true or not, it's actually pretty funny. But here's a trivia deal. Now, this isn't just to drum it up, but I just was flipping through during the break here on one of my social media deals here and flipping through different posts, and I saw this. I couldn't believe it. There's a little hint for you right there. Does anybody know the Major League Baseball team with the highest opening day win percentage all time in the majors? The Major League team that has won the highest percentage of opening day games. Anybody know who that is?
Yeah, I do.
Got a guess? Anybody know? JB says he knows. Do you know because you know, or did somebody tell you, or did you see the same thing I saw?
No, I it may sound like a guess, but I think it's going to be more of a, what is that thing you call an educated guess?
Educated guess? Yeah, I got you. All right, well, hit me with it. What is it?
I'm going to say the Yankees.
Boomer Sooner on...
That's why I don't like them.
This is another reason to hate the Yankees. Boomer Sooner guessed Cincinnati, the Reds. It's not the Reds. Now, put it this way. Let's see.
American League, National League.
It's a National League team.
So the senior circuit.
Yeah, where pitchers hit, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But this particular team, it's amazing. This particular team has
Cardinals?
They have a 7% lead over the next closest team in opening day wins. It is not the Cardinals.
Wow.
Sven on YouTube has guessed the Phillies. It's not the Phillies.
Lynn got a guess on the Country Pleasing text line.
On the Country Pleasing Sausage text line. Country Pleasing Sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Lynn says it's the Mets. Bingo, it's the Mets. Attaboy, Lynn. He knows that because he is a Mets fan. Lynn is a Mets fan, a Bears fan, and what else? A Mississippi State fan. I don't know if he has an NBA team or not.
Brooksy is a Mets fan.
Is he really?
Yeah, we'll have to text that to him and see if he knows who it is.
Nobody tell you. Anybody listen, don't tell Brooks. Y'all do not tell him the deal here. Yes, listen to this. The New York Mets have the highest opening day win percentage all time. They've won 66.1% of their opening day games. The next closest team, Seattle, at 59.1, 7% less. So the highest win percentage on opening day, number one, the Mets in a big way. Then it gets close. Number 2, Seattle. Number 3, Baltimore. Number 4, the Yankees at 56. And number 5, the Cubs at 55. Then 6 through 10. 6 is the San Francisco Giants. 7, the Dodgers. 8, Colorado. 9, Pittsburgh. And 10, Milwaukee at 52.9%. For whatever that's worth. was a little surprised that not only was it the Mets, but how big an advantage they had over other teams in terms of winning opening day games. Yep, Lynn, you got it. Your team. Opening day Major League Baseball coming up on Thursday. This just popped up on Twitter, and I know that many of you have probably followed this already, but you may not have. Did y'all see it? 17-game regular season is now official in the NFL. They're going to add a game, a regular season game. 17-game regular season is now official in the NFL. That according to Adam Schefter of ESPN. Now, what I don't know is, does that affect the preseason? Are they going to start it earlier or take it a week longer at the end? They would start it earlier, wouldn't they? They're going to start 1 week earlier, eliminate one preseason game? Is that the crux? I know some players, look, here's the other thing about it. I'm not getting into it neck deep on this part of it, but you know this because you kept hearing it during the Dak Prescott contract negotiations, or leading up to it anyway, with he and the Cowboys, is people would bring up, well, you do know that you're going to have the new TV deal coming up in future years for the NFL, and everybody knows the cap's going to go up and all this kind of stuff. Oh, and by the way, players are going to get paid more as soon as they add a 17th game to the regular season, add one more game. Well, here's one step in that direction. So, but that's what I don't know. I haven't followed it closely enough to know if this is a deal where the NFL is looking at adding the game at the end and still playing 4 preseason games, or are they now talking about playing 3 preseason games and just starting the regular season 1 week early, where it's the same schedule? It's just, it would make sense that you're going to reduce the number of preseason games. Because you don't really need 4 anyway, I don't think. The real unnamed texter on the Country Pleasing text line says preseason is reduced to 3. Okay, so that would make a whole lot more sense than still playing 4 preseasons and then all that. And that's coming from the NFL? Okay. See if they have a story up. No, I don't see any stories up. So just the tweets have gone out as of this point. The other NFL news that's out there today, too, and y'all are going to see a lot about it if you watch sports TV, listen to sports radio, is you've got some pro days going on. How do you feel about quarterbacks running 40-yard dash times at their pro days? Okay, because keep in mind, this is not the combine and a laser time 40-yard dash or anything like that. So how do you feel about it? Today, Justin Fields at Ohio State had his pro day. He ran a 4.4 in the 40-yard dash, blazing fast 4.4 time. Yeah, and I saw where Kellen Mond at Texas A&M ran 4.5. What does that equate to? Just for the record, and we haven't even really gotten into that, but it's about to be April, so the draft's coming up, okay? Yeah. So it's about to be honest, but it's pretty well just assumed Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 to Jacksonville, right? It's just pretty well assumed there. Beyond Trevor Lawrence, instead of debating what likely is going to happen beyond Trevor Lawrence, what would you do then? Who you taking? Who you taking? Mac Jones? Alabama?
Depends on who I am.
Justin Fields?
If I'm the Saints, I'm definitely drafting a quarterback, and I'm looking at Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. Definitely taking a quarterback.
Yeah.
But we've been doing some research for the show Kyle and I are going to do starting April the 19th. We got that official date.
Oh, attaboy.
And
so it'll be right before the draft.
Yeah. Kyle has gone back and has done some analytics since 1980. Quarterbacks drafted in the first round and the number of Super Bowls that those guys have won.
It ain't many, huh?
Give you a breakdown. Almost 200 since 1980 quarterbacks have been taken in the first round.
Yeah.
You know how many of them won Super Bowls?
How many is that?
17.
How about that?
Yeah.
Couldn't have won a whole lot because the 6th rounder's been winning them all.
There you go.
That'd be Mr. TB12 GOAT, according to Gator Nation. For me, after Trevor Lawrence going 1, it's Zach Wilson, the guy at BYU. That's who I'd be taking ahead of the others. And, you know, I've had a pretty decent run of being able to watch those guys in college and kind of know or have a hunch on, you know, how it all stacks up. Liked Bridgewater. I think the injury really, you know, sidetracked his career for sure. But, yeah, I think the smart teams in the NFL, I don't know that they are necessarily, I don't think they're debating between Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. I think the smart teams, what they're debating is once Trevor Lawrence goes 1, I think the smart teams, what they're debating is, do we trade up to get Zach Wilson out of BYU, or can we get him where we are? And I think a lot of the other talk is just build up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's so much talk right now. Like I was watching this morning, you know, they're talking about trading Garoppolo. Jake was telling me that Minshew's getting a lot of interest from San Francisco and not Oakland. I was going to say the Boston Patriots, but you know who it is.
The Boston Patriots. Y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
We're 5G ready. After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true.
Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world.
Let's dive in and see what we have here.
Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt.
Just answer the questions.
BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, you know, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food.
With playoff caliber sports talk, it's the Matt Wyatt Show. 3 minutes for your life right now. On 105.9 The Zone.
Here we go. Back with you. Rolling along. I'm a little bit out of breath because I had to run back up the stairs, JB, because Annabeth locked herself in the garage.
With the snake?
No, she just locked herself in the garage. The keys were inside. She was outside. Thank goodness she had her phone.
Lord bless her.
Yeah. Thank goodness she had her phone, because otherwise...
Thank goodness she's got a decent husband.
Yeah.
I know some guys that would have left them out there. Kind of like Fred Flintstone.
If she didn't have her phone, it would have been like one of those things from, the movies when we were kids where you go throw rocks at the window to get somebody's attention. You hear this tapping on the window. You're like, what is that? I would have heard it and thought it was a bird trying to get in. I would just ignored it, and she's trying to get my attention. And it would have been terrible. But I think it's going to work out. All right, so 17-game regular season now. Saints fans, listen up. It means you're going to actually host one more game. All right, my buddy Pat Smith, radio over in Birmingham on 3-Man Front, says every team will play 17 games with one bye week. Clubs are going to host 10 games overall. So you host 10 games. And it'll either be 9 regular season games and 1 preseason game that you'll host, or it'll be 8 regular season games and 2 preseason games that you'll host. But every NFL team is going to have 10 games in their stadium with this new schedule. Which, really what that shows you, the fact that the way this is working out, it'll alternate year after year. You're going to host 10 games, but 2 of those 10 could be preseason games. It shows you why you've had the preseason games to begin with. And it's all about owners going, look, they want football so bad, they'll buy tickets, come watch us practice effectively against another team. That's basically what this preseason stuff is. Getting to look at rookies and all this. So let's just cash in. Of course, TV also. TV wants the live stuff. All right, the NFL's tweet. And it begins this year. The newly added matchups. These are the new matchups with the 17th game being added for the NFL. Do y'all even care about this? I do. Now, I like this one right here. They've added Green Bay at Kansas City. Give me all of that I can get. You got Seattle at the Steelers has been added. The Saints at the Titans in Nashville has been added. Give me all of that we can get. Let's see. Washington at Buffalo. Chicago at the Raiders. Rams at Baltimore. Boy, that's a stinker. Defending champion Bucks have added a game at the Colts at Indianapolis. Hey, and by the way, we were debating earlier what the 40-yard dash times for quarterbacks mean. Justin Fields, Ohio State, ran a 4.4. Okay, Kellen Mond, A&M, ran a 4.5. Don't forget that Andrew Luck ran a 4.5 at the Combine on a laser. Okay, it's a true story.
And don't forget people run faster when other bigger people are chasing them.
That's exactly right. And they're great athletes. They all are. But, I mean, what does it mean? It's just all about how you used. It just means you're an NFL athlete. The Giants have added a game at the Dolphins. We got Vikings at Chargers. We got Cardinals at Cleveland at the Browns. We got Panthers at Texans. Ooh, they have added the Cowboys at the Patriots. When are they going to play that game? Because the last time the Cowboys went to New England, it was freezing cold and spitting rain and wet and icy, and Dak had a hard time hanging on to the football. His hands froze. That's what they said. Well, I don't know about that, but, everybody froze. But he did too. The other 4 games that have been added with the new schedule, Lions at Broncos, 49ers at Bengals, Falcons at Jaguars, and Eagles at Jets. So those are the games added to the 2021 schedule, with this 17th game being put in here. So the other graphic said the regular season increases to 17 games. The length of the regular season increases to 18 weeks. The added game will feature teams from opposing conferences, as I just noted, that finished in the same place within the division the previous season. And the preseason reduced to 3 games per team. Somebody noted that the players are not going to like it. I think it was Scott Rabelais who said that. In his tweet, he said the 17-game regular season schedule has been approved. Fans will like it. Players, no doubt, will be less than thrilled. But what's the deal? I mean, they're still playing. It's the same number of games. It's just now that instead of that 4th meaningless preseason game, it's a game that actually counts. Oh, what do they not care about it? They're out there practicing anyway. And I understand veterans, a lot of them don't play in that 4th preseason game, but all their contracts in value are going to go up because now they got another game on it. I'm not sure why the players would object, as long as the new game isn't on a Thursday night. That's what they really hate. They really hate playing on a Sunday and then having to turn around and get ready to play on a Thursday night, that short turnaround. That's what the players really hate in the NFL. All right, back on the quarterbacks thing. Jared, what did Jared say on the Country Pleasing text line? He said, I would trade back and load up on picks. You wouldn't take any of those quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to talk about Trask and Mac Jones. And, I think they're obviously, for lots of reasons, legitimate NFL prospects at quarterback. First rounders, maybe, maybe they get taken. Not anybody a whole lot better out there to take, seriously, in the first round. But I think the smart teams, like I said, everybody knows that Jacksonville is going with Trevor Lawrence with the first one. But after that, it's, pretty much Zach Wilson, BYU. And then some, and I think rightfully so, probably after that, some debate Zach Wilson or Justin Fields at Ohio State. But whether this is right or wrong, I feel like the whole Dwayne Haskins first round pick experience for him in Washington, and he's already out of there, released, it actually, I think, hurts this next first round prospect out of Ohio State a little bit in Justin Fields. I think it hurts him a little bit. Man, Fields made some throws in that playoff win over Clemson. I'm talking about made some throws. He's a player. But I think the kid from BYU is your guy. If you're not the Jaguars. That's what I think. So who's going to take him? What's the draft order? Who's the team that's going to take a quarterback next after Jacksonville? Have y'all looked at that, JB, in terms of draft order?
Yeah, but that's kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. Man, there are so many things that are trying to shake out, and it's just, is where's Minshew going? What's Garoppolo going to do? And there are just so many variables, I think, right now that nobody really knows.
Okay, so the Jets are the second pick.
Yeah, they're not going to take a quarterback.
And San Francisco has traded up into that third pick. See, right. That's who's going to take the kid out of BYU. I'd almost bet you that's where he goes. Because what are what are you trading up to the third pick for if you're not trading up to get a quarterback in the first round? Honestly.
I don't know.
I mean,
but I tell you what, he reminds me a lot of of a more mobile Drew Brees because he's not very big.
Yeah, they list him at 6'3", and I know there's a lot of, or I say they listed him at 6'3" at BYU, and I know there's a lot of debate about whether or not he's actually 6'3". I think a big reason there's a debate is because, JB, he moves around a lot better than your typical quote-unquote 6'3" quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's like some of those throws that Fields was making in his pro day, rolling to his left, getting his shoulder square and throwing it 60 yards like I would throw a softball to first base in the hole behind second base.
Right, yeah. He can play. Denzel disagrees. Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. He says the 49ers will take Mac Jones and not Zach Wilson. Well, maybe they will. I think it'd be a mistake if they do. I don't think they will. I think they'll take Zach Wilson. I don't think if you're going to take Mac Jones, where were they? Where was San Francisco? Where'd they trade up from? I don't think you trade up to take Mac Jones. That's what I think. So we'll see. I think, all right, and then who else? All right, so you got 49ers at 3. Probably take a quarterback. I'm saying it's Wilson out of BYU. Denzel is saying it's going to be Mac Jones out of Alabama. Then you got the Falcons at 4. That's not a QB. Cincinnati at 5. No. Dolphins at 6. And that looks like they've traded into that spot. They're not a QB, are they? And then you got Detroit at 7. Carolina at 8. Carolina going to take a quarterback at 8? Bet they do.
Probably so.
Mm-hmm. I bet
Probably
they do.
so. Which, according to Kyle's analytics, it's just he said if he was a GM, he would never, ever, 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 ever take a quarterback in the first round. I told him that was high prosperity thinking on his part.
Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Eli. 3 Super Bowls. Tell Kyle I said analytics are a lot like bikinis. They show you a lot, but not everything.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
That's it. All right. That'll wrap it up. If you leave us, have a great night. If not, stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says.
Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
Is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good, busy day dessert. Jello instant pudding.
Take a moment to visit a classroom somewhere. If it takes going to an open house at a school, a PTA meeting, or simply making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, do it. And while you're there, make it a point to say thank you to as many of the faculty and staff that are supporting the futures of these kids. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
This is WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live
in the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at zone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Hey, it's hour number 3 presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville, Stark Vegas, however you want to say it. If you're headed that way, you need a place to stay, live permanently, temporarily, anything residential in Starkville. That's where you go. Overstreet Properties. See my buddy Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. You can find the contact info right here. Listen up. Here it is. Listen. overstreetproperties.com. Welcome into the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team, I'm Matt. JB is here. Most importantly, though, you are here. And in the casserole hour, who knows what goes? A little bit of anything. Put it in there, stir it up. Let's eat! Cream of mushroom soup, make a casserole. Doesn't matter. Put anything else in there with it. We got a casserole. Put it in the oven. Heat it up. I don't know. Whatever. the casserole hour. So feel free to comment on the live stream if you're tuning in that way. Hit me up, drop a comment. I can see it. We had Jason here on Facebook comment and said after Texas's last win, he tried to pick up their forward like he picked up Little Bitty, and it looked like he almost hurt himself. Talking about Vic Schaefer. Sven agrees with me that after Trevor Lawrence in the draft this year, you want a quarterback, you go get Zach Wilson out of BYU. Sven said Zach Wilson without any question. Yeah, I'm not so far as it's a surefire, no doubt home run. I'm just saying, like, it's him, and if it ain't him, it's probably Fields. That's kind of where I am on it. But many disagree, including, let's see, Bama fan. Do others? What did Bama fans say here? Bama fan on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Text me at 885-ESPN. Bama fan says Mac Jones and Kyle Trask are going to be better NFL quarterbacks than Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. Bama fan has weighed in. A little bit of homerism in there, but that's okay. That's all right. We're all homers in one degree or another. Mailman David, in regards to the 17th NFL game, they've added a game, regular season game to the schedule. It's going to 17 starting this year. Mailman David said, as long as the 17th game isn't in another country, too. Are they doing that anymore? They're not this year, are they? Because of COVID.
Yeah, I think there are too many strands out there that they're uncertain about. So, you know, I just don't know that American football was ever going to take off over in Europe. And I'd like to get a guy on here sometime to interview him who played in Germany, some pro football in America.
Yeah.
Maybe get him to tell us about the demise of American football in the European bloc countries.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. Give me his number.
Hang on just a second. I think he lives in Tupelo.
Yeah, I think he does. He does. Somebody wrote was it Grisham who wrote the book about playing for pizza?
Oh, yeah. Playing for Pizza. What a great book.
Yeah, I've never read it. I've heard about it all these years and never read it.
It's not one of his typical, lawyerisms.
Yeah. He's got a book.
House.
He's got a book out here, a recent one, and the main character in there is named Maddie Wyatt. Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Put a Y on there so I couldn't sue him. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Gator Nation. He's back. Y'all, he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
Dadgummit. Welcome back, Gator Nation. It's been a while. That was the longest Super Bowl celebration anybody on this show has ever been a part of, Gator Nation. He took off for basically 3 months. 2 months, sorry. Gator Nation said, he said, Trask is better than Jones, and y'all know it. Do I?
I don't.
I'm going to
need. I think they're very similar. I think I will say this. I agree with Bama fan that I think they both have tremendous upsides. I would say especially Trask, just because of how good he's gotten, and just hadn't had the reps.
Yeah.
I guess the same could be true for Jones in some ways.
Yeah, we're about to open this can up here on this show. We're about to open this can up. It's a can of cream of mushroom poured in. We're going to have a quarterback casserole. That's what we're about to have here. We're going to open this can. Gator Nation said Trask is better than Jones, and you all know it. I don't know. No, we're going to debate this. But then he went on to say, see, when he gets going, it's like this. You can't get to all the text before we move on to another subject. He said it better be Colts at Bucks. We the champs. We got Stroke, or is Goodell screwing Brady again? Nobody gives a crap about home preseason game that don't count. Just Gator Nation, just calm down. Just calm down. That's what you got. You got the Colts. Okay, you're going to the Colts. All right, here we go. Time out. Back to the point. Think about this for just a minute, and then y'all let me know what you think. Okay, I want to get your feedback on this. Because Mac Jones at Alabama had this unbelievable group of talent around him, Devontae Smith, Smitty, Heisman, okay, his other teammate, finished in the top 5 of the Heisman voting is running back, Najee Harris, and rightfully so. Okay, these other receivers that are going to be first rounders, Mechie, some of these guys, a tight end, all these players. Okay, and not to mention 5 offensive linemen they're going to play in the NFL. Okay, so Mac Jones got this wealth of talent around him. Did you get a really good look at Mac Jones when every play and every first down is going to be a fight and a dogfight and a struggle? Anyone?
I guess you could say, who impressed you more, Joe Burrow in his run or Mac Jones?
Okay.
And how would you compare those two? I'd have to say I think Burrow had a way better season, even though he was surrounded with the same kind of talent, probably. Huh?
But you know what? He still wasn't surrounded by the same kind of talent Mac Jones was.
No, that's true.
Now, you might point to, the number of NFL players and the fact that Chase was on that team and he's now the number 1 receiver, like this year, according to some experts and all that kind of stuff. And look, there's no question that LSU team around Joe Burrow loaded. Just look at the guys that went and played in the NFL and all this kind of stuff. But on that note, if we just look at that, JB, what you bring up as similar situations, Burrow 2 years ago and Mac Jones this past year. Okay, look at the scenario. There are some similarities. There's some Joe Burrow-esque type plays and characteristics. Easy for me to say. I almost said like biscuits. Characteristics of Mac Jones that can remind you of a Joe Burrow, like the ability you're either born with or not to be able to stand in there when you're about to get hit and you don't take your eyes off targets. The rush doesn't bother you. Pressure, a collapsing pocket, a squeeze pocket doesn't bother you. You're still accurate, and if you get hit or not, you just don't care. You're either born with that or you're not, for the most part, okay? And I think Mac Jones was born with it. He did it. Burrow would do that kind of stuff. It's a big reason it was good. And also the work ethic and the progression for Mac Jones 2 years ago when he played in relief of Tua, his biggest issue, his biggest miss was on the deep ball. He'd overthrow these deep balls, and they weren't on the same page. They work on it. He hit all those deep balls this past year. He was deadly accurate on deep stuff. Well, the problem with both of those is, we've already seen Burrow, and I know Burrow got hurt, and it wasn't like Burrow was bad. He wasn't. He was pretty good for Cincinnati. But he wasn't Brady good, and he wasn't Mahomes good. He's pretty good. I mean, what? Brady in Cincinnati wasn't even really putting up Dak numbers before he got hurt. Okay, and in the NFL, to be a winning quarterback, you do just, there's a level of certain just kind of consistency you have to be, but you got to be able to make plays, but you don't necessarily have to be Patrick Mahomes for them to put a winning team around you. But you're not, Rodgers. It's not a Rodgers guy we're talking about here, either one of them, frankly. Okay, and you look at the differences in their path. Okay, like look at an Aaron Rodgers. I'm getting to the point. Stay with me. You look at an Aaron Rodgers. What do? He goes JUCO a couple of years. He's growing up late. He's underevaluated, whatever you want to call it. Goes to Cal and then gets in the right offense and sets everybody on fire. Next thing you know, slides in the draft, and we know the rest of his story, but look at his talent. Look what he's capable of doing. Look at what Mahomes is capable of doing as first rounders. Is that the kind of guys we're talking about here with Mac Jones? And even Burrow the year before? The answer is no. That's not the kind of guys we're looking at. With Trask, no. For the most part, they're going to be operating the pocket, feeding concrete kind of guys, distribute the football. But it ain't Rodgers and it ain't Mahomes, and maybe that's an unfair comparison because I know not everybody is. But what I'm telling y'all is this. And what I'm making a case for is this. I'm not saying they're Mahomes or Brady, but not Brady, but Mahomes or Rodgers. But here's what I'm saying. This kid at BYU, he will run around and he's a big, good athlete, super duper accurate athlete who he'll make a Mahomes throw every now and then now. I'm telling you, go watch the tape. And Justin Fields at Ohio State, I understand that we're saying that the whole previous first-round quarterback out of Ohio State, Haskins, and what happened there in Washington may hurt him a little bit. Okay, maybe it does. But this kid Fields, well, look at the throws he made against Clemson. And then the way he played, beat up, hurt on his ribs. And he's a big old, strong, thick, yoked-up guy who just ran a 4.4. He's an NFL-level athlete. He's going to do some stuff, okay? He's like a bigger, stronger, harder to tackle, heavier, taller version of Russell Wilson. I think that's what both those guys are. And we can sit here and debate the success that Trask and frankly even Burrow, who's already up there, and Mac Jones, the kind of success they're going to have in the NFL. But what is it dependent on? It's going to be dependent on you better put that offensive line and at running back and those receivers around them at the next level the same way they had it at this level. Because if you don't, they're not going to, at best they're going to be consistent in the NFL and maybe a consistent entity. But when we're talking about first-round quarterbacks, I think you have to look at it that way. Well, that's just my thought on it. But back to the original point. Answer my question. Did you get, with all the pieces that were around Mac Jones this past year at Alabama against his level of competition, did you get a really good glimpse at what it's going to be like for Mac Jones when he's at the next level and he's got to fight and scratch and claw just to get first downs in the NFL? Did you get a really good look at it? Well, I'll tell you the answer. The answer is no. You didn't get a look at that. He had a kind of team around him where, he could have played half the games left-handed, and they still would have won. Okay, and we talk about Kyle Trask. I mean, look, Florida quietly went about having 2 first-round skill players right there next to him, one of which I think is the best pass catcher NFL prospect in this draft, and that's Kyle Pitts out of Florida. Oh, he didn't win the Heisman. Smitty did. Yeah, I know. And all Kyle Pitts did was he was the most uncoverable one-on-one, tweener threat, big body NFL tweener type guy. He can be tight end. He can play inside. He can line up outside. Why can he line up outside? He's 235 pounds. Yeah, I know. He ran a 4.4 at his pro day. And you can't cover him. When they talk about catch radius, I told you you'd hear about catch radius. Well, he's got the number 1 of those in this draft. It don't matter where you put it. Longest arms, biggest catch radius. Well, that's who Kyle Pitts was throwing touchdown passes to. I'm sorry, that's who Kyle Trask was throwing touchdown passes to. Not to mention Kadarius Toney, who has gone right on up everybody's draft board. So I think Trask and Mac Jones both are really good and certainly NFL prospects and could absolutely be starters and be consistent and be winners. But it'll be because whatever team they go to ultimately puts a team around him the way these college teams put a team around him. I know that's kind of the same for everybody. You look at Breeze and others, but I just think you're talking about a different type of prospect, frankly, from the kid from BYU and the kid from Ohio State. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Anthony from Tupelo said, barring injury or getting drafted by the Jets, Zach Wilson will be the best quarterback in this draft. Squez was telling Gator Nation to lighten up, Francis. Now, JB, you and I are old enough to get that reference, aren't we?
That was Sergeant Huckle. He's the big toe of the company.
Lighten up, Francis. Yeah. Any of you guys touch my stuff, and I'll kill you. And then you hear Bill Murray over in the background. Lighten up, Francis. That's from the movie Stripes.
Barnaky owes me money.
He owes me money. Hey, that's from the movie Stripes. Don't let your kids watch it.
I love it when the basketball accidentally goes out the window. Cleans up the broken glass. This is a little help. The ball comes back up.
Yeah. I was always fascinated how you picked the pizza up off the ground and just started eating it. You know.
It's an urban assault vehicle.
White Denzel said, as a freshman in college, Dak Prescott was making the third-string players look like first string in practice, according to Dan Mullen. What quarterback in the draft this year was doing that in college? If there is one, I want that guy as my franchise quarterback. Yeah, I think you got your answers right there. I think you have. Hey, and here's another question. You know, I've mentioned it twice now. And nobody disagrees that for some people, evaluators look at everything and some are more prickly than others in the NFL. And for some people, the Dwayne Haskins experience, first-round pick quarterback out of Ohio State, dual threat, could really throw the ball too, but big, strong athlete. Washington took him first round. They've already released him. That maybe that hurts some people. They're a little more hesitant about Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State. Fair or unfair? Here's my question. What about Mac Jones in relation to Tua coming out of Alabama? Seriously. What's the difference? I mean, the only difference is that Miami hasn't released Tua just yet. But it didn't go too well. And, man, Tua was lights out at Alabama. Look what he was surrounded by.
So is that part of where your Mac Jones, T.J. McCarron, Alabama quarterback philosophy comes from?
Yeah.
In the pros? Can you name any of them that's been really good?
No, you can't.
Other than Joe?
Joe Willie Namath. Yeah, I don't.
Joe and Kenny?
Kenny Stabler. Been a while is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. They've had good quarterbacks, and some would say potentially great quarterbacks, but as far as NFL QBs, they just don't seem to materialize.
Yeah. Ernest T. said, I certainly didn't miss Gator Nation. Jones is head and shoulders better than Trask. We have a square disagreement on the country-pleasing text line. Jay in Baltimore said, game tonight is postponed. Ugh, weather is the culprit. And then he followed up. He said, a really great team is required to win a national title and Super Bowl. Yeah, it would be great to have a Brady or Manning behind center. Scouts are trying to figure out who, if surrounded by the right talent, can you win a title with. He says, the only thing I will say is Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl in Baltimore. Yeah, Jay in Baltimore, thank you. You're right. It is absolutely a team sport. And it's absolutely about putting a team around the guy and judging whether or not, hey, if we build the team around the guy, can we go win with him? Yeah. And sure, maybe you can. I'm just making a point that I think sometimes the better the team around the guy in college, the more confusing it might be to figure out what it's going to be like if you don't put that kind of team around him in the NFL. Yeah, I'm saying, how many, answer this question. With the talent that Alabama put on the field last year, how many college quarterbacks could have played in that offense and looked really good? I'm talking about NFL-ish. You got it. JM, oh, Lord, help us. Look at JM's text. Matt, you aren't a very good word on this because your anti-Bama bias always comes through. Lord God, help us.
Wade in the wall.
Let me just say this, okay? I'm from Alabama, and I've known Alabama fans my whole life. I'm related to a bunch of them. There's nowhere else in the country that could have as much success in football as Alabama's had and still have a big portion of their fan base with an inferiority complex. and always worried about somebody having an anti-Bama bias. I'm telling you, it might be the one place that you could find it. That much success in winning, yet still walking around worried that somebody might have a little anti-Bama bias. In the words of all of our grandmamas and aunts, bless his heart.
Roll Tide, roll. Down the bowl, down the hole.
See, it ain't me, it's you. You're the one with the anti-Bama bias. Y'all stick around.
Shucks.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy, better buy, better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
For air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
Are you ready? Now back to the guy who loves his banana pudding. It's the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Back with you in hour number 3 of the show, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Check them out online, overstreetproperties.com. Headed to Starkville, anything residential in Starkville, permanent or temporary. Make sure you see Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. Check them out online, overstreetproperties.com. I'm Matt. JB is here. Most importantly, you are here. Comments on the live stream are open to you. Hit me up. Also, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Number is 885-ESPN, 601-885-ESPN. Free American texted the show and said, I'm not an expert by any means, but if we don't have an O-line or one or two who can catch a ball, does it really matter who throws the ball? Yeah, that's right. I mean, no one guy. You got to put a team around him for sure. But you could say there are, some guys who, you need the team around to elevate them. Other guys who can elevate the team around them. Like varying degrees. It's all a crapshoot in terms of evaluation, how somebody's going to pan out sometimes, especially at certain positions. Quarterback in the NFL being one of those. Lynn said, I could have thrown a touchdown to Alabama receivers. Usually no one close to them. Not saying Jones isn't good, but how good remains to be seen. That's a good way to say it. I think, a lot of the evaluation when the chips are down and against you, I think that's really what remains to be seen because you play at Alabama. You don't really get to see that if you're a quarterback. You do get to see how accurate he is, though, throwing a ball to guys who are outrunning everybody, and that's important. Flowtown Ghost wanted the English version of JM's text. JM has text back. He's weighed back in. He said, see, that's my point. What you just said, I don't care a bit if you have a bias, but you never miss an opportunity to put Bama and fans down. Lord God, help us. Is it a lie when somebody says something like that, or is it just wrong? Which is it? I mean, think about it.
I would think it would be an incorrect assumption.
Well, he says you never miss an opportunity to put Bama or fans down. It's just, it really couldn't be farther from the truth. I don't really know What's wrong with JM?
Well, I think he's trying to figure out if you're a closing statement or a parting shot.
Well, what I said was true. Okay, so what I said was true, and it's from my own experience. But lived a long time, seen it a long time. So what I said was true. I didn't say one thing not true. And then the other thing is, I'm really just telling you the truth, JM. See, and that's what a self-esteem issue or inferiority complex issue, that's what it is taking a true statement, even if it's not necessarily 100% complimentary, and taking it as what you say, a put down, put Bama and fans down, which is not true. I don't know if you listen to this show very often, but you obviously, I guess I answered my question. You obviously don't. All right, Jason in Flagstaff said, talking about Stripes, the movie, he said, it took me being a sergeant to understand this scene. This is good. Every cycle there's one of those dumb kids who doesn't get it. I'll look it up, Jason. Thank you for the link there. It's a fun movie. Sergeant Hawker. And that's the fact, Jack. Lynn says, Matt, tell him it's me, Lynn, who has a deep and true hate for Alabama. Ernest said, okay, I'll say it. Bama sucks and their fans suck more. Well, see, it's not true, Ernest T. You can't take a big broad paintbrush and paint an entire school or fan base or whatever. That's not true. I actually believe this. In my heart of hearts, I believe this. They are one of, in terms of my interaction, they are one of the nicest groups of fans. And I don't know if it's because of the winning or if I'm biased in that way, because I do have a lot of Alabama fans who are family. Friends, too, kind of, and growing up in Alabama, obviously so.
So would becoming an Alabama fan be somewhat like this?
I get killed, my blood is on your hands. Just don't get it on my shoe, okay?
The funniest military spoof of all time is available for the first time.
That's the fact, Jack!
Digitally remastered with 5.1 Dolby sound.
Where's your drill sergeant, men? Load up, sir!
Stripes, the extended cut.
No, I mean, it's one of the, really and truly, like you go to an Alabama game, they're obviously a humongous fan base, but it's some of the nicest people. They're a lot like, maybe not quite to the same degree as Texas A&M. They're a lot like Texas A&M. It's all smiles. They're happy to see you. They welcome you. How you doing? One of the nicest groups. But especially out on the fringe of the fan base, I'm like, there's no reason whatsoever to have your radar up if somebody's not paying you a compliment necessarily, and you to say, Bama bias, you hate us. You hate all of them. You hate them. You're a hater. But you don't have to be that way when you've had so much success as they've had over the years. Maybe the only one group as a whole, fan base as a whole, who's worse is Auburn. And even them, you go, well, look, Auburn, look at your program. We're talking multiple Heisman winners, multiple national championship recently, and played for another. You have all these things you shouldn't have just because you compare yourself to Alabama. Auburn fans shouldn't have this inferiority deal, but they kind of do. I mean, actually, in a major way, they do it at Auburn. They might be the only one worse than Alabama fans. It doesn't make any sense, and they've had all that success. It's just, again, I don't understand it. With a fringe portion of the Alabama fan base, anything this side of open praise is taken as a put down or like bias against them or something. And they shouldn't have that. They shouldn't be that way. You don't have to be that way when you kind of have owned success the way they have. But maybe it's more a part of the human condition than anything else. And JM, you're right. Wade says JM just proved your point. You're right, he did. Didn't make him, a bad fan or one way or the other. I'm just saying I don't really understand it. See? Because anyway, it's not for me to understand. Norman, All right, Norman, here you go. All right, I'm going to get to it. Thank you for reminding me. This is from earlier in the show. Coffee Norman said, Matt, if you would expand on Leach's system regarding downfield throws. I don't know much about the air raid from the past, but I recall more downfield throws. Does that come in time, or is it more a dink and dunk all the time? The dink and dunk short throws would seem to lead to long drives and thus more prone to making an error that stops a drive. Yes, I know it takes a quarterback and receiver with experience. He says, curious if you think more downfield throws are coming next season. Yeah, this is my understanding, Norman. That offense is predicated on what are you doing as a defense. Okay? Start right there. Think about this. It's predicated on what's that defense doing? That's kind of going to determine what we do. And it's our job as an offense to force you out of that defensively. Okay, so if you're defending deep to not give up home runs, we're going to force you out of it by completing a million throws that you give us underneath. And when you can't stand it anymore and you come creeping up, then we throw it down the field and we beat you. Okay, I'll expand on it just a little bit. That's the very, very basics of it. So what does that mean? Can you do that or not? That's really what it boils down to. But we'll touch some more on that when we come back. I'm Matt. A little more ways to go with you here today. Stick around.
Your ability to copy. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says.
Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com. A couple weeks ago, went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own.
Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better.
So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jello instant pudding.
Show. Nobody breaks down quarterback play better than him. And he's right here, right now, online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Did y'all see that stuff about Vanderbilt yesterday?
I don't think so.
$300 million commitment to facilities upgrades for athletics at Vanderbilt.
Probably don't need to after all that flooding.
Yeah, they had some more, didn't they? Annabeth has a cousin who lives and works in Nashville. Last year, he lost a car to tornado damage.
Mm-hmm.
This year, on about the same week, he posted a picture from that deal, that flood, and said, look, they had the water up to his side view mirrors in his car.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, and that's something. Anyway, $300 million in committed to improving facilities and things for athletics at Vanderbilt, and including football, basketball, a few other things, support facilities and all that kind of stuff. It's a big deal for them and for the university. Undoubtedly, part of that readiness, I think, to go ahead and jump into it. It's not like they don't have plenty of money. They do, and they can raise it at Vanderbilt. It's just getting people convinced there at that school that they need to spend that amount of money on sports, which a lot of their alumni base has not ever felt that way. Anyway, to digress a bit, undoubtedly part of it is knowing what's coming, an extra $20 million per year on top of what every SEC school is already getting from the new ESPN ABC football television package, which kicks in 2024. So maybe there was some motivation there, but they certainly needed it. They had a little bit of a black eye, just kind of on the university's commitments, lack of commitment to athletics and facilities over the last couple of years. A couple of big stories and a little bit of a revolt on the inside. And it sounds like they've kind of gotten all that worked out. So hats off to them. A lot of good people at Vanderbilt. But there was some talk this morning in one of these interviews, JB, of what they should do to their football stadium.
Yeah, demolish it and build another one.
Well, but see, I disagree. All right, so in reality, though, here's what Cole Kubelik said, and I thought this made a lot of sense. I agree with it.
All right.
He said, Matt, I was looking at that baseball facility at Mississippi State. Well, looking at it on TV, and they were very complimentary. He said, and I was thinking to myself, Vanderbilt needs to come up with something creative for their football stadium, like those lofts out in left field, the left field lounge type thing that they have for state baseball. He said, because, why would you come in here and just build a brand new stadium for Vanderbilt football? What for? Like, who are you putting in there? And I went, it makes sense. Number one, the one thing you wouldn't do if you're Vanderbilt is consider anything that would put general seating in their stadium. That's the last thing they need is general seats. They need to take out a lot of the general seating they have. They can't sell it. And instead, because of where they are, what if they did have some sort of stadium that has livable spaces all around one side or on one end? And I said, build something that has height so that whatever little bit of noise they do have in there stays in there. I think it makes a lot of sense. But it is going to be interesting to see what plans they come up with. And, I doubt you're going to see like a whole new basketball arena or some,
You got to admit, they have the worst facilities.
They do.
If you just take the big three, their gym is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Or as people would say, terrible.
Terrible.
And their baseball park is, what is that in left field?
It's just backed up to a building.
And then their football stadium is just, what you could tell the priority of athletics on the totem pole when they built those facilities.
Right. Sounds like maybe they're making a new commitment. Yeah, you're right. And the baseball field backs up to the football stadium, so like home plate and the third base side, the football stadium kind of hangs over the baseball stadium on that side. It's crammed in there for sure. But maybe they're going to make it better. I'll be interested to see what plans they come up with. Okay, so Mike on Facebook said talk more MSU football. I'm going to go back to Mike, what Coffee Norman said here on the Country Pleasing text line, and just, kind of reiterate this. And I don't know, there's really not a whole lot of a point of being like hyper specific on this stuff, but sip of coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany. Get it if you like coffee. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Go to highpointroasters.com. It is the best. Hold on. Okay, so Norman was asking, but the air raid system and throws down the field. Really interesting. It'd be neat to look up and see what they did last year. Year one, freshman skill players. Percentage of throws that, big play throws and where they came from and how many and that kind of stuff. Things in that offense, Norman, are predicated on the ability to run vertically. Okay, up and down the field, vertically stretch the defense vertically down the field. Deep. The ability to do it, right? Stretching them out. Hit the big plays when you get them. At the same time, if a defense tries to defend that, back up, keep them in front of you. Don't give up the home runs. That kind of thing, if you can threaten them. The ability to so consistently throw and catch on the underneath and read the underneath zone stuff without turning it over that you force the defense to move up. You force the defense into man-to-man. So to take it one step further, your biggest plays down the field that turn into these catch and run, home run plays and stuff, or bombs that you throw down the field, come primarily, not all, primarily against man-to-man coverage, where there's not some defender over the top that's going to come over and help. Like the dumb thing that you hear announcers say all the time, it's double coverage. He threw into double coverage. Well, there's almost no coverage designed to have two guys defending one player. There's almost nothing there is nothing called double coverage, triple coverage. There may be people there, but that's because there's some form of zone coverage where guys converge on the ball when it gets there, and we're trying to fit it in small windows that might be between two defenders. Double coverage. It ain't double coverage. It's zone. But when you get man-to-man, just one-on-one. That's what man-to-man is. It's one versus one. It's defender running with the receiver to cover that guy. He's mine wherever he goes, one-on-one. Why do you call that? To get more people involved at the line of scrimmage against a run game or to blitz a quarterback. Therefore, you may run past him, and if you don't cover that receiver, he runs right past him, and against one-on-one, the receiver wins, and I make the throw, and here we go hit our head on the goalpost and score. So that's where those things come from. Norman, the best example I could give you of how that cat and mouse game should and is supposed to look and work in terms of man-to-man throws that turn into big plays versus the consistency in the completing the underneath stuff when they give it to you against zone is to watch the Georgia game. And it really was the first game this year for Will Rogers and as an offense, I felt like, where they really started to click and get it and understand and able to manipulate the defense throughout the game. Prior to that, they were all just kind of holding the rope, hoping not to drown, it looked like. But it started to work in that one. You remember in that game, that first drive, it was not a touchdown drive, but they drove it right on down the field and kick a field goal. Took a 3-0 lead, I think is how that worked. Well, you go watch, what were they doing? Georgia came out, did what everybody else had done. We're going to play zone coverage because you can't complete the ball against us without turning it over. If we make you run 10 or 12 plays, you're going to throw us the ball eventually underneath. You can't execute your offense good enough against zone coverage underneath. We're just going to back up. But he came out in that game and went complete, field goal. Then the next possession, what'd they do? Complete. Here we go, right down the field. Mixed in a little run. First down. Go score. And you'll notice that was the first game in several weeks where an opponent against State jumped into some legit man-to-man stuff because they had to. They felt forced by the consistency of the underneath pass game. They were doing it consistently enough. Will Rogers, they were like, well, look, we can't stay in it. We got to try some stuff now. We got to get after him, heat him up, which means we got to play a little man. And then what happened? He throws a crossing route over here against man-to-man to Jaden Walley, who catches it, hits the sideline, outruns this guy to the end zone, 50-yard touchdown. And after that play, maybe twice more in the game, Georgia played in a man-to-man look defensively. You got him out of it. All right? So you go, well, if teams continually get out of it, where are the big plays going to come from? They're going to come from, like what you saw in the bowl game. We so consistently get first downs when you come underneath that we are keeping you off balance. We're going to be one step ahead, and we'll adjust to whether you're in man or zone. So the point, Coffee Norman, is this. And most offenses are some version of that. And, we're going to eventually do what we want to do by getting you out of what you want to do. Most offenses, that's the cat and mouse game. Then it comes down to this. Do I have receivers that can run by you? Do I have receivers who scare you to death to play man-to-man coverage? Do I have a quarterback who can hit you with the timing against zone that even if you're in zone coverage, our guy still has time to catch it and make yards after the catch? Do I have an offensive line keep my quarterback clean? You start adding the players into the experience, then the offense will really take off, and you're talking about 4,500-yard pass seasons. Still a little ways to go. Enjoyed it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in today. For JB, I'm Matt. We'll see y'all tomorrow in the Bureau. See you.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.
Live Oaks wants to make your new year a better year, whether it's a round of golf or